researchers go? He said, oh, there's commercial oil just out of Albury. Commercial oil means it's viable to extract. Albury, just up the way a bit. I said, don't worry about it. What about round here? I said, Mittagong Barrel, 3 strikes.
Castle Hill. Stick an oil derrick in Castle Hill. Free-flowing oil.
Bargo oil, in the middle of Picton oil. Bottom of Razorback oil, that's where the gas is, they got the gas. You get gas and oil, as he said, I told him about it years ago, Castle Hill, they drilled at Wiseman's Ferry. The pressure was so great, you get oil, you get coal, gas and then oil, 90 tonne of concrete was put on it to cap it. And they're telling us we're short of oil. So you remember when Schwarzkopf went into the Middle East, and the pretense was, we've got to go in there because America's running out of oil. See, in 1970, when the Shah of Iran, the Shah of Persia tried to nationalise the oil went from $14 a barrel to $35 a barrel. And that nearly crippled America because they use 25% of the world's production of oil daily. And they were reliant on them. Until they got the Australian expertise on what we did with shale oil. It's an invention from here, what we did during the war. So then they shot the Ayatollah Khomeini in there, and he backfired on them. So then they shot Saddam Hussein, and he was going to... Russia's got more oil than anyone else in the world.
Hey, what about Prudhoe Bay in Alaska? They've got 2 of the biggest oil finds in the world up there.
There's another one.
And they declared that national secret. It was classified. They were going to release it and tell the world, we've got enough oil to last for the next 200 years,
but that's
and we don't have to change a thing, and we can just run our V8s and all that forever and a day for the next 200 years.
But see, that doesn't...
And then they classified it. And then they've told us, then they invented peak oil. So they've just deluded the whole world into believing, we're running out of oil.
No, so when they sent Schwarzkopf in there, Saudi Arabia, so America never bought any oil of Saudi Arabia. The reason being, after the war they were nomadic, and it was the Bush's family and
Prince Bandar.
I can't remember all the company there. But it's all Texaco, Standard Oil, the steel company, and all the descendants there, Goldberg and all them, they're descendants of these people. They said, we'll build the infrastructure and we'll sell it on US gallon, US dollars, because you don't know what to do. But we won't buy oil off you, we'll only pay the royalties. And that's how America got cheap oil, just paying royalties. So when the blow-up come, and they said, we've got to go in there, Schwarzkopf opened his mouth and said, what a terrific shot, we've found 500 years of oil. Oh, you should not have said that, we've had the world brainwashed, the world's run out of oil. So you can see that what they do, the International Monetary Fund, what the public of Australia's got to come down to, exactly what you've said. The International Monetary Fund direct our treasuries, state and federal, and our treasuries then direct our politicians. And then they use us, the doves, to pay. Now in 1996, when I told you about Mr. Jim Kalele, the Assistant Commissioner of Tax, stated in the Sydney Morning Herald, there's the document, that multinationals have paid no tax or little tax since 1953. That same year, 7,000 companies claimed international status. That same year, 87% of all tax collected come from the PAYE, 9% from corporate Australia. But 90% of corporate Australia that year and now is owned by multinationals. In 1998, in the Courier Mail, I got the document here, 100 companies were investigated with a turnover in excess of 300 million, no tax. They've just revealed that Google, Apple and the other company, not pay, and James Hardie doesn't pay any tax. Thanks very much, Julie Bishop.
Bishop.
Don't pay any tax, not a cent. The biggest building supply company in the world, don't pay any tax.
Yes, but our poor are paying all the tax. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, but listen, you ain't your go. You ain't your go. I'm having my go.
What did you say?
You ain't your go a minute ago. I'm having my go. Now I didn't interrupt you. So
I am not interrupting. I'm supporting what you are
keep it to
saying.
yourself and talk to me later.
I'm supporting what you are saying.
You are extremely rude to this lady.
That's
I don't
right.
You are so not.
You don't understand.
No, that's
the
the
job.
Australian. That's an Australian sense of humour thing too.
I know, but not
No, you
So
misunderstood.
what happens?
very rude.
What happens? If you don't agree with the banks, we'll sign another agreement.
He doesn't understand.
And when we sign this Trans-Pacific Partnership, the young people will never get a chance to buy a home. Never. Because when that's signed along with Agenda 21, if you're next to a reserve or a national park, they have the right to come and encroach on your land. And you can't stop them. And you've got to have all these riparian zones. And then they're going to make you put different electricity in, different water, different sewerage. And all this business with electricity. The cheapest electricity we've got is coal. And you can burn coal cleanly. They extract the coal now and they're putting it back in the ground because we need CO2 to grow everything. You can't, vegetation won't grow without CO2. And every one of it, and it's an infinitesimal amount of stuff in the atmosphere. But we've proven in this country what we can do. Now Monsanto, one of the financiers to Hitler. Now I tell you what to do. Get this book, Wall Street and the Rise of Hitler, written by Professor Anthony Sutton. Everything in there is correct. As I told you before, my mate was a reporter at Nuremberg. There's another book, None Dare Call It a Conspiracy, and When Corporations Rule the World. And you will see how the banks are running everything, and tax is the bottom line of our problem. Because if we haven't got the money now to do things, and we're going to sell things off. So we sell it to transnational companies. Now, in times of conflict, communication is paramount to your security. So we sell Telstra off. We sell our aeroplanes off. We sold all our airports off.
Water.
So where does it leave us? So the public, all this information is denied from the public. And when you start to think the Lima Declaration, what that did to this country, and the progressive countries did not sign it. Now, and we've got to compete with them. But they've got tariff protection. Go over to see if you could drop a car into Sweden, Germany, Korea, Japan, and see what you get. Go and see if you can drop... See, a long time ago, the Ord River scheme, that was financed partially through the Commonwealth Bank. Now, they grew rice over there. In Japan, the rice harvest is a religious ritual. And they come out, Tim Fisher brought them out, Tim. Have you ever heard him speak? He said he should go to elocution lesson. With everything we know, with what we've got to do, with everything. That's true. I listened to him speak the other night about the Barley 9 being shot. And that's his elocution. He brought the Japanese out there and they saw this rice and we produced more rice poundage per acre than what they could. They were devastated because it blew away their religious doctrine of the rice. But that'll tell you what, there's no one can grow wheat and barley and grain, anything like that. Down in Tasmania, there's a bloke grows cherries, $1 each, they're like that. I have relations there, I go there quite a bit. They've perfected a way of growing mussels. The mussels are that big. Now the blokes wasn't fishermen that did it. They were farmers. But they found a way, as Tasmania has more currents go around than any other continent or island in the world. So they spawn them on one side and grow them on the other side. And the Chinese come out and they said, we want that. The bloke said, well, you can have it. Go and but you show us how to do it. They said, you see that gate you come in? We'll just go straight back out the gate because we're showing you nothing. The bloke with the cherries, I asked him to go over there and show them, I'll go over and show them, but they won't be able to do it because they're not orientated to perfection like that. They're copiers and not innovators.
And as they call us, that's...
Now, another thing that we did, it just went through my mind.
Yes.
A young bloke from Western Australia,
software.
a computer nerd. He invented a machine to go in a plane with a slow stalling speed. It was either 60 metres or I think it was 60 metres off the ground, and it can tell you precisely every mineral and what quantity you got in the ground. Now he's never went to university, he's just a nerd, a genius. Most geniuses don't go to university. And he sold it. Then he invented the fastest computer ever in the world. Before it went on the market, it was worth 190 million. He went to Howard, not interested. Not interested. These are the things that we should have had here. The bloke in Queensland invented a machine gun that can blow a rocket out of them. It fires a wall of bullets.
Metal storm.
Metal storm.
Yep.
Don't want that neither.
No,
A
the
doc-
Americans got that now.
The
They
Amer-
reckon it's their
The
invention.
catamaran. Catamaran.
A fella down, a
The
doctor,
combine
I've been a
harvester.
medical doctor,
Stump jump plough.
the stump jump pal, go through that for
All
me.
Aussie inventions.
Can I say something? My son invented an energy source at the age of 14, not on the market yet, hasn't got money to put it on the market, but it costs nothing to run, and it can run any household, but it's going to run my house first.
So,
Good. If he hasn't told anybody,
No,
he's lucky.
and I am sworn to secret
So,
cooperation.
That's why you're still alive.
Catamaran in.
That's why you're still alive.
Catamaran.
the bloke that built the catamarans and everything else like
He
that.
actually got it now.
So when you start to think that this is what we've had here, and all the inventions like the stump jump plough, the machine gun, the rice
Combine
harvester, the disposable syringe, Dr. Victor Ching, Dr. Philip McBride, disposable syringe, the welding machines that we've developed here. We've bloke invented
Brown's gas.
Black box.
a bloke invented an oxy welding
Bill's
machine,
hoist.
works on 4 pound oxy, 4 pound acetylene, and you can put your finger, there's the flame, you can put your finger there and can't feel it. And it's got, don't want that. Now the bloke, the doctor, he was a surgeon, an orthopaedic surgeon in Melbourne, invented a hemp thrashing machine. Now hemp goes back to the Egyptian times.
Yep.
This is only in the last few years. Now you can extract everything out of hemp, for building, medicinal, clothing,
It
everything.
has 6,000 uses.
What about that, John? Nah, send the wrong impression to people.
Yeah, we don't want to.
So look, I can go on for hours, but I think I'll stop there. I've given you a little bit of a brief dissertation of what we've had, and the Lima Declaration, this here, all these agreements, 7,000 of them under the disguise of the United Nations, and the United Nations is always run, it's a communist turn now, run by a corrupt Russian all the time. And then they come out here and we sell off the country, we've sold our infrastructure, we've sold our countries, we've crippled our farmers, and they say, how are we going to get out of debt now? We'll tax someone. Well, as Karl Marx said, we're going down the socialistic path. Karl Marx said, taxation is a political tool to suppress and control the country.
Where do you reckon we should immigrate to?
Well, there's no...
Where are we going to go?
You're not going to go anywhere, but what we've got to do... Now, I'll tell you what happened. This is what the most important thing.
Israel.
The voting law. Now, they're complaining about all the minority parties getting into power.
Israel.
Prior to 1998, we had first class opposed voting, and I bet you everyone here voted the way you got your how to vote card, had the vote card and they had it there. Now, in 1996, a bloke called Albert Langer got into a bit of trouble over it. In 1998, they put him in jail over it. What you could do, and I voted all the time this way, from when I was able to vote at 21, after Billy McKelly explained it all to me. You put 1, 2, this is the House of Representatives, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. The only person that got the vote was there. You had to number every box. So what happened, 1996, a redheaded lady called Pauline Hanson came along that told the truth about the takeover of Australia and everything else. So we've got to get rid of her. So the head kicker of the joint, Tony Abbott and his mate, they got a slush fund up to get rid of her. They shoved her in jail and everything else. So then what we're going to beat her, what we're going to do is make you numerically number every box. So now you're forced to vote for people that you don't want to vote for. And they call it a democracy? Or is this the KGB? And there's what this gentleman here was just saying with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's all done in secrecy, and we're paying the bludgers.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the complete demise of it. And that's to so America. And they took Canada got caught. They got fined 10 million. They took them to court and got 10 million out of them. Now the XL, and they don't have to abide by our environmental laws if they're an international company. They can just do what they like. And these are the things you never explain.
John, give them the example. Tell them the example about if we only paid, if everybody paid just 2% tax. You wipe every tax. You wipe every single tax that we're paying in Australia right now. This is very good.
I'll tell you better than that. There's the big circle of tax that we require. That's what we're collecting. And this bit out here that we're not collecting is a state. Payroll tax, petrol tax, stamp duty, insurance tax, superannuation tax, electricity tax, and council. And by the way, councils are not a government.
No, they're not.
They're not. They're a corporation.
Yeah, it's
And that was-
voluntary to pay your rates.
And that was defined in the. I got the document here in
The tax.
2006 in the
Go back to the
Court.
tax. Go back to the
Go
tax.
back to the
But
tax.
if we put a 2% tax on it,
On everything, every what?
every transaction, what you do, buy and sell. So if you don't sell, if you don't,
Listen to this. This is really important.
if you don't buy, if you don't spend much and you don't buy, you don't pay. But if you're going to spend a heap, like the transactional companies buying this and they get subsidy, I'll give you a classic example of a coal
Get to
company.
the point.
You'll get 5 times as much income as this was 4 years ago figures, 5 times as much.
Tax revenue.
Australia's turnover in 1996 was 33 trillion, and it's gone up since then. Now I'll tell you about evading tax.
Yeah, but wait a minute. The summary was that if you just remove all the taxes that we're currently paying and charge everyone just 2% on every transaction instead of 10%, right? Drop it down, right down to 2%. But everybody pays.
Yeah.
You'll have 5 times the tax revenue, and we won't have to sell off a thing.
So what happened? A bloke, Daniel
That's that
Ludwig,
corrupt.
Daniel Ludwig come out from America to buy all the mines in Burgaring Valley that were started off by 2 Australians, Stan Fox and the Clinton brothers. It was in the Burgaring Valley. There was 9 mines. He paid 38 million for the 9 mines. And he owned a company, 28% of the company, Lee Norse Mining Manufacturing. They were the machines, they were what they call constant miners, not longwall. The mine I was at was a small mine. I nearly got killed and I got crushed under a 15-tonne machine. Broke my cervical spine, nearly tore my arm off. And I'm still here today. It was only that high, 3'8" to the top. And we repaired 40-tonne machines and then never brought them out, no lifting gear.
Wow.
That's true, I could go into that. That mine made 50 million. One year, his top man from America, who was a director of Yonkers Raceway, that's a trotting track in America. The biggest trotting track in America where they race for $1 million each race. He's mad on trotting, so they bring him out there and we've got to go in a little man car and you sit in the car that's out off the ground and I get plonked in there with him and they want to talk about trotting because I've been mixed up with the horse racing industry all my life. We get talking about trotters and everything else and I said, how do you get on about the tax here? He said, oh man, he said, this is the silliest bloody country in the world here. He said, we don't pay any. He said, you know what else they do? They give us subsidies to bring the machines in and Ludwig goes 28% of the bloody company. And our mine made 50 million and that was a small mine. The rest were 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 foot seams. Don't know what they made. He just said, ta-da, see you later. Took what he wanted off. Now all that they've got to do, they're going to say they've got to rehabilitate the land. They just bankrupt their companies. Say, no money. You fix it. Taxpayer. And this is the Lima Declaration. All these things we signed. What this gentleman
evil.
said about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's the final nail in the coffin. And unless we address our tax system, as I said before, taxes, tariffs, treaties and the family law court, the men talked about Christianity and everything else, and I'll show you I'll give you an illustration how the family law court will condone, accept and reward you for murdering your partner. Sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? I'm over the top. Well, I'll show you how it happens. It's a no-fault system where you can do what you like, when you like, with who you like and how you like. And you won't get fined. Where before you could. So either partner can go out and have an illicit affair. Either partner. With a person that's got hepatitis B and pneumonia. Come home and get into bed with the other partner and inflict them with that disease. That person gets 6 or 12 months to live. In that period of time says, I'm out of this marriage, go to the family law court. The worst you can end up with is 50-50. So the person that's perpetrated and inflicted the death sentence on his partner gets 50% for being a mongrel, and the person that's going to die gets 50% for being honest. And you tell me it's a good idea? United Nations again. Signed the Family Law Court Act in 1975. Along with the Lima Declaration that's destroyed our rural industries, our manufacturing and our future.
It's been done on purpose.
For a new world order, I just gave you the quote from
Well, we
George.
can't be set up as an example because we were the finest example of an egalitarian state in real harmony, producing more than anyone per head of population, given what we had. With the tyranny of distance on our back, we came from less than slaves of no commercial value. Convicts, half of them arrived in the second fleet, they were dead. So they thought that much of us. And in less than 200 years, we achieved a standard of living like no other country in the history of the world's ever achieved. And in that first 100 years, okay, it was hard going. But we had, well, probably the first 50, 60 years. Then after that, we had incredible wealth through sheep hard work and all that. And then there were land grants and stuff. And then we had a period of 100 years up to 1960, the mid-1960s, where we were the highest average standard of living consistently than any other nation on earth.
1908 to 1930 we had the highest standard of living in the world.
And in 1960, it just went down.
This is an extract out of the USA Bankers magazine, which this gentleman traded, the maker. So people don't understand the Federal Reserve's a privately owned bank, the same as what ours is. This is the USA Bankers magazine, August the 25th, 1924. Capital must protect itself in every possible manner by combination and legislation. Debts must be collected, bonds and mortgages foreclosed as rapidly as possible. When through the process of law the common people lose their homes, they'll become more docile and more easily governed through the influence of the strong arm of government applied by the central power of wealth under the control of leading financiers. Again,
The Rothschild.
this truth is well known amongst our principal, now engaged in forming an imperialism of capital to govern the world. By dividing the voters through the political party system, we can get them to expend their energy in fighting over questions of no real importance, and thus by discreet action we'll secure for ourselves what has been so well planned and so well accomplished. That's the New World Order.
Yay!
John,
Yeah,
Julie's just told me that afternoon tea's ready.
right, we'll go. I'd be here all night if I wanted.
Well, that was
Yeah!